I feel like project pan finales are always really, really sad, but when it's something that you really want to keep going with, and when it's a project that you genuinely love, it makes things even sadder, and that is what is happening today with Project Level Up. I've come to the realization over the past month that I want to play around with eyeshadow. I really love eyeshadow, and I feel like I'm being chained to certain palettes in certain projects, and I want to be free. I want to be able to open my makeup drawers, have a gander, see what I feel like in that day and in that headspace, in that time. And this kind of project, very, very committed, long-term project pans, especially eyeshadow based, it just doesn't let me do that. I have absolutely loved That's Taupe this month. I've really, really enjoyed the looks that I've made with it. However, I have also thought that I want this as Pan That Palette next year, so I really don't want to get burnt out with it in the last half of this year and then have to roll it in for Pan That Palette next year. I really want this as Pan That Palette, so I'd rather let go of this project than change my palette for next year. And also, just like I said, I want to be able to be a bit more free with my projects. I'm already doing Pan That Palette and Pan Those Eyeshadows, which are very long form committed eyeshadow projects. I really don't want another one in the mix. I just want to give myself a bit of a breather. That's the kind of gist of it, but just before we do jump into my progress of this palette, there is one last update to go. If you have not already, like and subscribe. I am trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I upload every single day here on my YouTube channel. I love bright, fun, colourful makeup, as you could probably tell. I love project panning, get ready with me's. I'm dabbling in some reviews as well, so if that sounds like a fun time to you, then I'd recommend sticking around, hitting that subscribe button, turning on notifications, because I have some amazing videos coming very, very soon. So let's jump into it. I've had 1 month with That's Taupe, and again, I love this palette so much. I'm not ending this project because of this palette, because it is such a beautiful palette. So this was my Project Level Up Level 3 palette, meaning that I had to hit 3 pans and use every single shade 3 times, which, as you can tell, is a big commitment, and it only gets bigger from here. It goes to level 4 and level 5 as well. And I should say, just before we properly start this video, this project pan was created by the wonderful Sophie Alexandra here on YouTube. She does a hell of a lot of project panning content here as well, so if you're looking for another project panner to follow, I'd 100% recommend her. She has amazing progress every single month, and she also does this project, of course. It is her project, so if you do still want to continue watching this project, that is where I would go. Okay, let's jump into it. So, That's Taupe. As I said, it was rolled in last month. This is what it looked like when we rolled it in to this project. It had got some use on it, but it really wasn't a well-used palette by any means. It had been kind of touched here and there, but there were no dips, there were no pans, there was nothing of significance in this palette. And my thought process was to kind of get to know it just before I do roll it in to be a committed Pan That Palette next year. But I think I rolled it into the wrong project for that, because as I said, 3 pans is a hell of a lot to hit, especially in a Colourpop palette, and I'm just not ready to give it that commitment, especially when I'm so committed to other eyeshadows as well. This is what it looks like today. I'm sure you're going to be able to see a few little changes in this palette. Really not much. I'm not going to sit here and say that I have the most amazing progress in this palette. It is not that by any means. However, I've had a really nice month with this palette. I've created some really beautiful looks, and I've really, really solidified the thought that I want to pan this very soon. I'm so happy that I've got the opportunity to use this and to play around with this, because I really do love this palette. It is something so nice, especially in contrast to the super, super warm tones that I'm trying to finish in my Pan That palette right now. I think this is going to give me a really, really nice break next year, and I am genuinely really looking forward to panning this. So if you're looking forward to that panning journey, then definitely stick around as well. I have got to get Modern Renaissance out of here first before I roll this in next year, but this is just staring at me. Like, the more I say I want to pan this next year, the more I'm just like, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So I'm going to go through shade by shade how many times I used it. So let's start with Boa, which is just a lid setting shade. Now, I have a lid setting shade in another project pan, and I thought I'd be finished with it by the time this update rolled round. However, I've not actually finished that shade yet, so I've not been able to use this one. This was the one that was kind of waiting in the wings to be used, and we just didn't get there. So unfortunately, zero use on Boa. However, I do have quite a lot of use on Pebble Beach, and you could probably see it from the progress pictures. I feel like this is the shade with the most visible use. I've used this shade 3 times this month, and it is so kick-uppy. It is ridiculous. It did also crack a tiny little bit, so this is probably like the problem child of this palette. It is very, very finicky. It is very, very powdery and almost a little bit difficult to use sometimes, so that is something that I am keeping in mind going forward with this palette. However, I'm really glad that I did get to know it, get to use it a little bit. It's a very nice, neutral, slightly warm leaning in comparison to the rest of this palette kind of shade, and I really love it. Next, I have Python. I have not used this shade at all. Next, we have Slated, and I have used this 2 times. This is my favorite shade in the whole palette. It is the most vibrant, shimmery eyeshadow in the world. Oh, I'm so excited to pan this. Like, oh yeah. Look at that. I'm going to be rocking that every single day. I cannot wait. Next, we have Snake Eyes, and I have used this 1 time. Next is Cold Blooded, and I have used this 0 times. Next, we have Rocksteady and Constrictor have both been used 0 times, unfortunately. And then Bedrock, which is the darkest brown matte, I have used 7 times. So I use this shade in my brows. I have recently finished a brow shade that I was working on, so this was kind of like waiting in the wings, second in line. And yeah, this is the shade that I've been working on for my brows. To be honest, I will probably keep using this in my brows from now until the end of the year, just because, as I said, I know I'm going to be panning this next year, and using this as a brow shade is going to go very slowly. I do love using this on my outer corner to deepen out some of these shades as well, of course, but I never get bored with brow shades. I never sit here and think, oh, I wish I had a new brow shade to use. So if I can get some really good use on this between now and at the end of the year, before this is rolled in as Pan That Palette, I think that would be amazing. I think even if we have pan on it, that's such a good chunk of use, getting us ready and getting us prepared for Pan That Palette next year. I'm really excited to play with this. This month has made me even more excited to play with this next year, but now is not the time. Now is a little bit too soon, and again, I feel like Level Up is just one of those projects that, like, you need to put everything into it. You need to be like super, super, super in the panning world and in the panning mindset, and I just feel like I've not been that over the past few months. I have done multiple finales over the past few months, and I feel really good about it in my own like world. I feel really, really good that I can just like cut back on project pans, use what I want to use in my makeup collection. If you guys saw my massive makeup collection series that went live last week, you will see I have a hell of a lot of eyeshadow palettes, and so many of them I have not even touched this year, and that makes me so sad. So what am I going to do going forward? I've thought about this, and again, it was in my makeup collection video. It was when I had all of my palettes in front of me, and I'd realised that I'd not actually used 90% of them like over 5 times this year. That made me really sad, and it made me really miss my No Pan Left Behind project pan. If you didn't know what that was, it was something that I actually did a finale for last month, and that project was when I got a palette and I just used every single shade 1 time. That was all that I had to do, just no commitment really, and I got to pick the palettes that maybe were neglected in my collection. I got to play around with them, and I got to show them some love. So I think I'm going to be reintroducing that project back onto my channel, and I feel like that is going to replace this project. I feel really good about that. I feel like No Pan Left Behind is very similar to Level Up, just without hitting the eyeshadow pans. And I also feel like it's gonna give me a massive boost in my Pan That palette and my Pan Those eyeshadows, because I'm spread less thin and I can give a lot more love to Pan That palette and Pan Those eyeshadows now that I'm just chilled out a little bit. So I know a lot of you guys did miss my No Pan Left Behind project pan. Good news for you, it will be returning. I'm wanting to do the introduction later on this month, so definitely stick around with that. And in that update, I do share lots of looks that I do throughout the month. So again, if you're looking for some inspiration, things like that, definitely tune in to that project pan when it comes live. So it is really sad saying goodbye to Level Up. I absolutely adore this project. I've been doing it for 2 years now around. Oh my god, time flies. But I've just been loving it so much. I've got so many eyeshadow pans from this project. But it is time to say goodbye. My heart and my soul are breaking. I just love this project. If I could do all of the projects, I would. And I definitely tried to do all of the projects. Like, whew, it was a lot. But I feel like this decision is perfect for this new era of Caitlin Costello. Let me know, do you think I'm making the right choice? Are you doing Level Up? Would you continue to do Level Up? Let everyone know down below, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wanting to follow more people doing this project now that I'm not doing it. So definitely plug yourself down below. I will accept it for this one video. And this is where I'm going to love you and leave you today, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new video. Bye bye!